Hey guys, welcome back here to Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel. We'll check the episode out. Got a little fun video for y'all today. We're going to be talking about some famous old wives' tales in bass fishing, and I'm going to sort of break down these myths a little bit. And you'd be surprised, guys, how many people believe them. Some of this stuff I'm going to talk about today, there's a lot of people that are adamant that they think it's true, so I'm sort of going to blow that out of the water in today's video, and look forward to hearing your comments on that as well. Also, guys, a couple quick things before we get started here. Get a couple housekeeping tips. Just want to remind everybody, guys, if you haven't had a chance, you want the best boat food to go fishing with of all time, check out the Bridgeford Sweet Baby Ray beef jerky, guys. This is the most freaking awesome beef jerky you will ever taste. You won't be able to put it down if you try it. The grade and the quality meat they used to make this is like you'd serve on your Sunday dinner. Bridgeford, greatest company in America, guys. It's just family owned since the 1930s. Integrity second to none. These guys support conservation efforts. They support the sport of bass fishing. You can get it at any checkout aisle at Walmart across the country, so definitely check that out. And also, guys, quick reminder, you guys have even heard me talking about this. If you're looking for a bait cast reel that can cast light lures on, check out this new Cast King Kestrel Ultimate here. This is designed specifically to cast light baits like little bitty jerk baits, small crankbait, shaky heads, all the stuff you fish on a spinning rod because of the braking system that it has on it and the low friction line guide. You can cast these baits unbelievable with these little bitty light baits on it. So I'll have the Cast King link in the description of this video here. And if you use my promo code Randy10, you get an additional discount on the reel. So I really appreciate that. Okay, guys, let's talk about old wives' tale. I heard about this a lot as a bass angler. So I'm going to dig into a few just sort of to come to the top of my mind here. First one, guys, to talk about, I've heard this all the time. It's like if you catch a bass on the first cast of the day, it's bad luck. And there's a lot of people that believe this. In fact, I know people in tournaments, guys, this is no lie. I know people that believe this so much that if they catch a bass on their first cast and say it's during the tournament, and say it's like a keeper fish and maybe it's not a big one or something like that, they will throw that fish back even though it's a keeper because they believe that if you catch one on your first catch of the day, it's going to be bad luck. This is absolutely ridiculous. If I catch one on the first cast of the day, I consider this is going to be a freaking awesome day, man. They're biting right off the bat, and I have never seen that to be true. Now, one thing I have seen to be true, which is not really a wives' tale, but it's something, it's a mystery of the bass fishing universe. I cannot count how many times that I have changed the lure. Let's say I wasn't catching anything on a certain type of crankbait and I pick up a different type of crankbait or a different color or whatever. I'll catch one the very first cast on it. I've done this over and over and over again, and then I won't catch another one on it for the next 3 hours. So I have seen that happen over and over again. Second one, a lot of people believe this, guys, is no bananas in the boat. This is absolutely ridiculous. I love bananas. I have them in my boat all the time. I have won tournaments with bananas in my boat. One of my favorite snacks in a boat, besides the jerky I take with me, is a peanut butter and banana and honey sandwich. So I always have bananas in the boat. I don't know where that came about. I have no idea where this prejudice against bananas came about. But again, I know dudes out there, if a co-angler shows up with the bananas, they won't let them in the boat. They say, you get those out of the boat right now. I have seen it myself in tournaments, and I've had pros tell me about that they believe that so adamantly with that. Okay, the next one is, you probably heard the old saying, it's like, when the wind blows from the east, the fish bite the least. Ain't true at all, guys. Wind speed and wind direction does have a big impact on fish. It does, for sure. But the whole thing about an easterly wind making the fish stop biting is simply not true. There's other factors that are involved with that. When you're talking about wind direction, I don't care what direction the wind is out of. There's associations with that wind, such as like temperature drops, the speed of the wind, the time of the year that the wind's blowing, the proximity of the wind direction prior or after a frontal system that goes through. But some of the best days that I've ever had, especially in Florida, have come on the east wind, because if you guys ever fish Florida a lot, like Lake Okeechobee, the dang wind blows out of the east there all the time. And I have had some great days on the lake on the east wind. So That is definitely another old wives' tale that you don't want to pay any attention to. Next one, guys, and this is one of my personal, deals. This is, instead of an old wives' tale, I guess it sort of is, but it's more of a philosophy, is these dudes out there that say, I want to make sure I get the early morning bite, or you can't beat the early morning bite, or I want to catch the early morning bite. The early morning bite is the most overrated thing in bass fishing, guys. You don't have to get out there. You don't have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get out there at the crack of dawn to catch fish. This is an old wives' tale. Now, the thing about it is, one of the reasons that people do this is because most people that think that they got to get out there at the crack of dawn right off the bat, and the early morning bite is the deal, don't know how to adapt later in the day, and they don't understand bass behavior and bass positioning and how different factors influence the bass later in the day. But the early morning bite is the biggest myth, overrated thing in bass fishing, without a doubt. Elijah's over there working on a project here I'm talking about here. But the early morning bite is, like I said, it's an old wives' tale. It is that the fish bite, better in the morning. Now, I'm not saying there isn't an isolated circumstance, where if you have clear water situation, and some places may have an early morning topwater bite that lasts a little bit, but it never lasts very long. So the point of the matter is, guys, don't feel like you have to get out of bed early. Don't feel like you have to be one of those dudes that are there when the sun cracks over. It's just go ahead and sleep in. It's much better to get rested where you can get out there and spend the full day on the water. I want it freaking hot. It's like my favorite time to fish, guys, is in the middle of summer when it's baking hot and I'm shorts and a t-shirt. If I get hot, I'll just jump in the lake. But I don't have to get out there to get an early morning bite when it's cool, because I think a lot of guys out there, they're just lightweights. They can't handle the heat. And if you're a real bass fisherman, you are conditioned to the heat, you're conditioned to the cold, you're conditioned to the elements. It's usually only the fair weather bass fishermen that think they got to not miss that early morning bite. Okay, and the last one I can think of, guys, there's a lot more, but this is without the video running forever, is that this whole thing about that bass bite because they're hungry. A lot of people, I hear this all the time, they're saying, oh, they're just, they're not hungry today, or they're not biting today because they're not hungry. Bass, the bass that you catch rarely bite because they are actually hungry and actively feeding. I'm not saying they're not opportunistic, because they are. But if you fish during the daylight hours, most of the bass that you catch during the daylight are not biting because they're actively feeding and hungry. Most of these bass feed at night, all over the country, all year long. They are nocturnal feeders where they actively go out and they're hunting for food. They're looking under rocks for crawdads, or looking for perch, or looking for whatever. It goes on during the nighttime. They feed with their lateral line very heavily. The bass that you catch during the daytime, for the most part, you catch them from other reasons. You catch them out of a reflex strike, out of curiosity, out of competition, out of just other factors besides being hungry. And that's why you have to learn how to trigger strikes. That's why understanding the mood and the personality of the bass, what it takes to actually trigger that bass into bite, is the key to becoming a good bass fisherman. But if you're relying on bass just to be hungry to catch them, you're going to be sorely disappointed, because it goes on at night mainly. So that is definitely an old wives' tale. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed it. We'll talk later.